from betting weekly. Because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet Rivers sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Welcome in, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It's Friday, the 26th of September. You with Steve Wyss and Simon Holden. And we are right in the middle of the first day of the Ryder Cup. And Europe are 3-0 up at the moment in play. Simon, the USA are 1 up in the other game. Instant thoughts so far from you on day one of the Ryder Cup?
It has been the most extraordinary morning session. I have two friends there. One American, one English. And the American guy has just messaged me and said, and this sums up everything. The atmosphere at the beginning of play was the greatest sporting atmosphere he has ever seen. And this guy goes to everything. He said the atmosphere there now is like the worst atmosphere he's ever been to at any sporting event. So this place, Europe, have like a slow puncture taking the air out of this crowd, Steve. And we've been talking off air. I think this will go down as a calamitous morning for Keegan Bradley in his selections. However, you've got to take your hat off to some of the golf we've seen. And the Americans of USA have got to hang on here and get a point. They have to hold on in this game.
Otherwise, it could be 3.5 to a half, or even 4-0 as a worst case scenario. But the odds now are to win the Ryder Cup. Europe, they totally flipped from pre-tournament. Europe minus 143, USA plus 150. The tie is at 11 to 1. We are hoping, whilst we're live on air, we're going to get the 4 balls announced. Plus, we might be able to get odds from Bet Rivers for those, and I'm sure we'll have some selections heading into the afternoon. I think the US have simply got to respond this afternoon, Simon. But in terms of the odds now, would that be an in-play bet for anyone who's not got involved in the Ryder Cup?
Well, as it stands, the interesting thing is, we spoke yesterday and we've been saying all week about getting off to a fast start. However, in Paris, the Americans won the the opening morning 3-1. And there was much wailing and gnashing of teeth and, oh, my God, what's happening? Are Europe having the right tactics? And, of course, Europe ended up winning the whole event very, very easily. So nothing has been resolved. And I would maybe caution against steaming in too much on the European team and wait till the end of play today. Because if I'm right, and this is just a case of very bad selection, that could be put right this afternoon. So I'd just hang on there. If you're not involved, Europe are a very, very definite favourite. But it's not time to award this yet. It's like any golf bet on the first day, Steve. You have to remind yourself and everybody else that they pay out on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, Europe were 3-1 down, weren't they, in Paris, I think, after the morning session. They actually won that pretty convincingly in the end. We'll come back to Ryder Cup bets for 4 balls winner, hopefully the 4-ball groups, when we know what they are. But we've got a big day on the soccer front as well. And I want to welcome in everyone, of course, as normal. Byron, Tristan, good to see you. Barak, Ming Chung as well. We'll talk about the Marseille game, don't you worry. Ian Messina, Mike. Byron's got a lock of the day there. Villa fan, well done. Getting the result yesterday for Aston Villa. Maybe
well done, mate.
Start things on that one. Lack of goals still a concern, but you'll take the win and move on. And just looking through some of the big bets from yesterday, there was a nice bet, nearly $20,000 on Real Oviedo against Barcelona live, over 3.5 goals at minus 147. But there was a loser, and I know this wasn't your money, Simon. It was on Celta Vigo on the minus 0.5. Asian handicap at -102 against VfB Stuttgart. That was a $10,000 loser, sadly. A notable Ryder Cup wagers, by the way. Nearly $10,000 was placed on Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley to beat Olberg and Fitzpatrick at -185.
That's not a great start to his week, is it?
Not a great one at all. But there's a long way to go. So it's the same with everything, isn't it? Okay, let's get into some bets today. Bayern Munich start things off in the Bundesliga 4 is against Werder Bremen here. -12.50 favourites, Bayern Munich. We've got a goal line. It's not often you see this for a Bundesliga game or any top flight league of genuinely 4.5. 4.5 goal line, pretty much. There, both teams to score, though, is at -114. So if we look into this match here, Werder Bremen actually won this fixture 2 seasons ago, 1-0 at the Allianz Arena, and they were nearly 30-1 that day. So they do, last season they got beat well by Bayern twice. It's the sort of fixture where, if you're just going to play Bayern on the money line, you're not going to get rich quickly, are you? So is there any other ways that we can make money on this game, Simon, in other markets or handicaps and stuff like that, do you think?
Well, I've been so impressed with Bayern this year. I mean, actually, if you do bet them on the money line, you might get rich slowly. They look like the Bayern of sort of 2-3 years ago to me. It's an 8-game win streak and dominating the league. They're against a mid-table side, and one of the stats I was telling you before we came on air that they cover the Asian handicap -1.5 7 of the last 8 times that they've played teams outside the top 4. So they are becoming the kind of the bully of the league again, aren't they? And like you say, it's a very high goal line, but it's an understandably high goal line because I won't come on to what you think would happen with Bremen, but I just see this being a goal fest. And I think you've got to get with the overs and just get with Bayern on the Asian handicap. And like you said, this is a very unusually high goal line for a reason. So it's one of those take the hint moments, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, the goal line's high. Bayern have looked really, really good, I must say. They are a country mile the best side in the Bundesliga right now.
Oh, yeah.
But if we're looking at actual handicaps and goal line, I mean, I took the over 3.5 goal line in the match last week against Hoffenheim, about -120. And I thought that was a pretty acceptable bet. But when we're going to 4.5, I'm not sure I can really stomach it, even though if I actually had to predict if the match is going to go over or under 4.5 goals, I would probably say over, simply because, I mean, Bayern can cover it all on their own. The interesting sort of debate here for me, both teams to score, yes, is at -120 now. Can Werder Bremen score in this game? Bayern have only kept 2 clean sheets this season, and one of those was against RB Leipzig, and there was a really strange disallowed goal for Leipzig in that fixture. So they're scoring a lot of goals, and when you score a lot of goals, you can afford to concede one, can't you, really, if you know where I'm coming from?
No,
I'm not sure. I'm really debating hard whether I'm going to bet on both teams to score yes here or not. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that's a good bet. And, of course, that bet plays into the overs market anyway, doesn't it? And you're right. Are Bayern kind of not relaxed about conceding, but, so superior to these mid-table teams. Actually, you could argue superior to every other team that, let one in when you're 4-0 up. What's the big problem? But again, you raised an issue there about when things change and when goal lines go too high and when things it triggers that feeling of should you go back against the tide and say, no, this has gone too far now, and should you go under, which I think is what you were sort of saying there in that quandary about this is an unusual play. So does it make sense, or is it something to back away from? But then you go back to looking at the game and how Bayern are playing. I see one of the chats about Kane to score twice. Well, I've watched him certainly in the European games, and I think he's playing close to his peak here, Steve.
100% agree.
And he is now at that point of his career where, he may have lost half a yard, but he's so much more a complete footballer. And he's finally settled there, and he's kind of the king of the castle that I think He's going to have a great season domestically, internationally, in Champions League. And he's a player, I think, to get with. So I like that. I like him to score multiple times tonight.
I agree. I think he's playing at a really, really high level. From an English fan's perspective, I wish the World Cup was tomorrow because Kane looks $1 million, doesn't he? But by flipping May, he'll probably have niggles galore, won't he? Knowing his history. So, I mean, goal scorer odds for Bet Rivers, -400 Kane to score any time. In the multi-scorer market, I need to find the latest odds here. +150 to score 2 or more goals, and he's +420 to score a hat-trick. Well, the best bet out of those three is to score 2 or more at +150 if you're going to take one of the three markets there, rather than...
Well, if they're going to score 4 or 5, Steve, to me that plays into the angle that 2 of them are going to have his name on them.
Yeah, exactly that. Byron said if it was a Sunday game, Werder would score, but not on a Friday, he thinks. What's the reasoning there, do you think, Byron? I'm intrigued, actually. Barak makes a very good point.
More there.
Barak does make a really good point, actually. The XGA for Bayern is really low normally against. So, Bremen won't get many chances here. I do have a feeling they score. Can you bet on a feeling? I don't know.
Sometimes it's all you can bet on, Steve.
I'm debating it. I'm thinking about it. I'm not really.
I mean, do you not agree that just to play this on the Asian handicap, very solid? I know we talked about the money line being short and not getting rich, whatever. But sometimes you've got to take the little fish as well, haven't you?
So you took him -3 here on Bayern on the Asian handicap, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bet for you, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like this Kane. I must admit, I've robbed that of one of our contributors, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that Kane 2 or more. So thank you, sir.
2 or more goals for Harry Kane at +150. Yeah. Simon likes the Asian handicap -3 at evens. I'm debating on both teams score. Yes, I'm not even putting it up as a lean, though. I'm just thinking about it. I wanted to put it out there for a debate in chat, and you guys have certainly said a few things here.
The what a feeling thread.
Well, the flash dance bet.
Exactly, the flash dance Friday.
97% of the money is on Bayern Munich. 98% of the tickets are on Bayern. What are those other 2 and 3% thinking? I'd love to know that. But there's always someone out there on the over/under market. Just 74% of money on the over. That's not a surprise because the goal line is so high. We'll move to our next game of the day that we're going to talk about, and this is Strasbourg against Marseille. Marseille, who beat PSG on Monday evening 1-0, first home win in the league against PSG for nearly 15 years. And as a Marseille fan, I was absolutely delighted, Simon, I must say. Really enjoyed getting PSG beaten there, but I don't like Marseille in this spot now on Friday evening at +102 away from home against Strasbourg. I have to say they're far too short here. And for me, Strasbourg might well be my best bet of the day on the +0.5 Asian handicap at -124. There's 2 reasons for it. There's going to be a come down for Marseille. When you've had the high of beating PSG, I'm sorry. And De Zerbi managing the team makes that even more apparent, in my opinion. But more importantly, last season, the 2 meetings between the 2 sides, Strasbourg won 1-0 and the other match was a 1-1 draw. Liam Rossignol completely outcoached Roberto De Zerbi in both meetings, which that will be a surprise to a lot of people. And I think the main reason is simply that Rossignol's tactics are a conundrum for De Zerbi. And he couldn't break them down, and they could basically end up taking too many risks and got caught out at the other end of the field. So for me, it's a fixture where Strasbourg can get at least a point out of. They've only lost 1 game all season in all comps. And looking at this flat spot for Marseille as well, I don't think we're going to see the best of Marseille today. We could see quite a few mistakes, Simon, in my opinion.
When you are a fully signed up disciple, I'll even go to that level of mental letdown. The theory initially espoused by the great Keith Elliott, and still very popular within this Betting Weekly team. You've got to take the sport out of it. You've got to take whether it's individual or team. You've got to take any other views you've got. And the fact remains that they climbed a huge mountain a few days ago. And the tank of energy, mental, physical, whatever, will be extremely empty. And it happened time and time again in the follow-up fixture that you've got to get against, because if ever there's a football match that's going to be a classic mental letdown, it's this one. I imagine that the celebrations went on long into the night, Steve, the other night. And I just think they're going to come here, and I'm sure they're going to say all the right words. Come on, lads, new game, obviously in French rather than saying it like that. That it's a new day, a new game. We've got to get back on it. And that's all well and good. But I just think they're going to be sluggish today. They're going to be flat as a pancake. And I think Strasbourg on the money line is actually a decent place. Forget the draw, no bet, none of that. Straight Strasbourg for me. I think Marseille are going to leave everything out on the pitch the other night.
Do you know what? I do agree. I think on the money line here, they're nearly plus 260. I think plus 255 on Strasbourg on the money line. This is far too big. I just think Marseille. I actually expected Marseille to be about plus 150 here. Now I can't believe they're plus 102. Either my estimations are miles off here, or something strange is going on. Maybe it's the reaction to beating PSG, but they've had less of a week to prepare as well for the fixture.
Yeah, and the thing is, you only get so much adrenaline. Whatever skill you got, whatever mental strength you got, you're only awarded so much adrenaline. And a lot of it was used. The tank's empty. And the thing about mental letdown betting, whatever sport you're interested in, you know, the idea when somebody does something exceptional and then they're flat after, is that the bookmakers across the world do know about it and do recognize it, but they haven't fully catched onto it. And there is still value in playing that theory. And while there is, I think you keep riding the wave.
Sheppy said there's a strike from the ultras in Strasbourg against the owners. Yeah, that's been ongoing all season. They don't like this Blue Co ownership thing. So that could be something to consider. He prefers the draw. He likes the under here. I mean, both meetings were under last season. You know, will it change now? Breaking news, there is no red on the board now in the Ryder Cup. The bottom game has just gone all square. Wow. So that is big news. I mean, were they 3 down at one point in that match?
Yes, they were. Yeah,
down.
They were 3 down.
The market now. So Europe are now minus 162 to win the Ryder Cup. The USA out to plus 175. This might be the biggest they are all week. The USA potentially.
The pressure now to win this afternoon slate 3-1. I don't think they can afford anything other than 3-1, Steve, or it's good night Vienna.
Cantlay and Schauffele are minus 134 to win this foursomes match. McIntyre and Hovland, even money. There's 3 holes left. The tie's not included in that, so you'd be getting your money back if it did end all square.
Yeah.
Right now, I wouldn't be on the favourite at minus 134.
I'd be on the team that's come back in those situations. Always played a team that's come back from the lead.
But what I'll say for this match for the US, it means so much to them. They'll fight tooth and nail right to the end of it. So a half wouldn't surprise me. But there's still 3 holes left. So, and these are holes we've not seen yet today, by the way.
No, we haven't.
The beatings were so
Imagine
much.
if you booked a seat behind 18, Steve. You've been sat there with a flask all morning.
I've just seen a graphic of hole 16 for the first time today, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know there was one.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh dear, we're in crazy territory here. We're in even the most ardent European. I don't think thought a clean sweep was on.
Back to the Marseille game. 87% of the money.
Get away from golf.
87% of the money's on Marseille. 74% of the tickets. I think it's a trap game for Marseille backers. Trust me. If Marseille win this tonight, I'll be very impressed with Marseille. I'll be getting a bit giddy as a Marseille fan, thinking, how far can they go? Because it would be a very impressive win. I don't see it happening. There's more soccer as well. Girona against Espanyol. I mean, Girona, they did me dirty actually on Tuesday. They played very well against Athletic Bilbao, to be fair to them. But at home, their results have been a disgrace, really. The manager for Girona called himself the worst manager in La Liga after they lost at the weekend. I think that was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but their home form's got to improve here, Simon. There's no way I could back Girona at plus 140 here. No way, Jose, at all. Espanyol, I've got a play on them I quite like in a minute, but I mean, Girona, I know they put in a much better performance in midweek, but are you going to trust them to kick on from that, or are they going to revert to their normal home form?
Well, I find this a tricky one for the simple reason that you've just said. Girona's winless start, 6 games, 3 goals. The manager did an interview, whether it's tongue-in-cheek or not, it looks on the written word pretty awful there. He may have said it with a wink, but he said, I'm the worst manager in this league, obviously since Gary Neville left. But I mean, I just think saying that is not going to improve matters. However, you've got to flip that and say that they did play well the other night for the first time all year.
They did, yeah.
So that balances out the feeling of negativity. And you looking back at some of the results, not seeing the game and some of the reports, I think they've been a bit unlucky on 2 or 3 occasions. Now, nobody wants to bet unlucky teams that keep losing. There's another thing. But I was tempted to play the tie on the money line here. I also quite like both teams to score.
Yeah, look, it's one of those where if Girona play like they did against Bilbao, then it's going to be, they've got a chance of winning the game or at least getting some points out of it. But at home, they've really struggled. They've had countless red cards at home as well. They keep making mistakes. And bad things happen to bad teams. I always say that's one of my big mottos in sports. And also bad things happen when you bet on bad teams, by the way.
Tell me but like USA.
But, I mean, for me, I'm looking more at the Espanyol angle here. And Espanyol have had a much better start to the season than I expected. They've only had 1 defeat, which was away at Real Madrid 2-0. I think we'll let them off that one. They've scored more goals than I expected, and they're actually plus 155 here to score over 1.5 goals by themselves. Doesn't matter if they even lose the game. Now, that is, if you look at Girona's home results, 3-1 defeat, 2-0 defeat, 4-0 defeat, and that's against Rayo Vallecano, Sevilla, and Levante. 3 teams who, I mean, Rayo are actually not a bad side, in my opinion, but some of the other defeats they've had are very, very worrying. If those sides can score that many against them, then I think Espanyol can. So for me, plus 155 on that team total looks like one of the better bets of the day. And I do agree. I think the overs and both teams score is likely here as well. We could see the old Desmond in the house.
We could. Now, Steve, you know this league far more than me, but there is certain rumours around top English sides that they're sniffing round a Girona player. Is it Joel Roca?
Well, Girona have been more of a selling club since they had that brilliant
season. Did you see him having a future in England?
Yeah, because you got the technical. When you playing in LaLiga, you have to be technically astute. If you watch a LaLiga game, in general, they are better games to watch than Premier League matches, in my opinion. In terms of
any league is at the moment.
The difference with the Premier League is, and we see this when we see sides face off on Premier League sides in Europe, is the physicality of the Premier League. Can you hack the physical aspect? I'm not just talking pace here. I'm talking strength and positioning from that department. So that would be any player that's got to come into the Premier League has to be, that is the number one. If I'm signing someone in charge of these clubs, you've got to hack it physically. That would be the question mark. So, but no problem from a technical perspective. Whatsoever.
Right, well, I'm going to get with him then from now on.
In terms of the split, so this is a really tough betting heat for the bettors out there. 65% of the money on Girona, which suggests there's not that much convincing nature with them. 92% of the money, though, on the over-under market, it's on the over. So the bettors are liking the overs here. You like both teams to score, don't you? Would that be one of your better bets of the day, do you think?
I love the time both teams to score. Yeah, well, actually, not in the football. I do like another bet in the football. But yeah, I'm going to get into this. And my man who could be heading England's way, I think I'm going to follow him now.
Both teams to score is minus 134. That's quite big.
It's short, isn't it? It is short now. That's moved. Big, that has moved.
Big, though. Both teams to score markets now tend to be a bit overrated. If you did want to get both teams to score on the tie parlay, you're getting nearly 3-1 on that, by the way.
I'll have a bit of that.
SW saying under 2.5. Is that Girona team total goals or the match goals SW? I wouldn't go match goals under here because Girona have self-destructed too often. Yeah. I can't trust that defense at all. One bit. Girona under 1 goal, maybe. I don't. Well, no, I think they score. But they have, based on the home results, I can see where you're coming from there. Now, the other game that we're going to talk about in the football today, West Brom against Leicester.
What a game.
I don't have a bet in this, actually. I had a good look at it, and I couldn't find anything. But thankfully, I know you've got at least one strong angle here, Simon. West Brom plus 115. We've got Leicester at plus 205. and the ties at plus 215, over goal lines at plus money as well. A Midlands derby as such here, a bit of a good battle. This will be on a Friday night. Good match for the TV, I think. What do you think? Who's going to win it? Do you see any bets in the goal lines?
Yeah, well, when we've had our sort of in-play football messages back and forth, you know that I've been fairly sweet on Leicester this year. I like Leicester tonight. I know West Brom are kind of the talking horse and getting a lot of, quite rightly, rave reviews, shall we say. But, Leicester been not as flash, but they've been effective so far this year. They've been sort of getting the job done, haven't they, in games where maybe you thought they wouldn't. The coach was getting a lot of stick early on in the season. People were saying that, they were going to underperform. But when you look at the league table and you look at the results at the end of the day, sometimes they've been pushed back in games, but they've been getting the job done. And I think they're a good price tonight. I really do. I think there's going to be goals in this. I like the overs, but I like Leicester on the money line for another gritty performance where they get it done. And I remember saying to you, they've still got a lot of high quality players, this team, for this level. And even when they're playing bad, there's enough skill and enough class in this team to get the job done. So yeah, I think that they're too big. So I'm going to get Leicester on the money line and both teams to score. That's my best footy bet tonight.
They've got a very good record against West Brom. They've won their last 5 head-to-head meetings against them. In the 23-24 campaign, Leicester won both fixtures by 2-1, and before that, 3-0 on both occasions as well. West Brom were one of them sides who used to be yo-yo, but now they just seem more set around sort of 5th to 10th in the Championship each season. They've lost their last 2 games after a good start. Losing to Middlesbrough by 2-1. And you're right, Leicester haven't been tearing up any trees at all, but they're 4th place in the Championship right now. So, the manager, I rate him a lot. I know Nigel rates the manager who was at QPR before here, and I know from his Scandinavian days as well. Martin,
I think they'll go up.
Yeah, the thing is, they've still got a points deduction potential hanging over their backs, right? I'm not sure about that, by the way, but even if that wasn't to happen, there would be a great chance to go up in a league where teams are dropping points a lot. The favourites, the start of the season, Southampton, Ipswich, have really struggled. Ipswich had a massive stroke of luck in there last week with the Blackburn game, which I think that's a terrible decision. I know it might be the rules, but they've got to look at the rules for the replaying of that.
That was a joke, wasn't it?
I'd be fuming if I was a Blackburn fan. I'd be fuming if I was on Blackburn in the money line on that day as well. Just 10 minutes is all they needed to get through.
This awful cliche, Steve, about the Championship's a team where anybody can, and everybody trots it out. But don't you think this year there's an element of that? There's not that much between the top 12.
Yeah, I don't know why that is, because I think Ipswich on paper should be dominating. I think Southampton...
They're not, though. Yeah.
They're not. And Southampton, I expected better under Will still, but maybe he needs a little bit of time to adapt in there. It's an open Championship. I'll be honest, I don't see the top 3 holding on. Playoffs, yes, but Middlesbrough, Stoke, Bristol City, I don't think they'll hold on in the automatics in any capacity. Leicester might be the best option right now. Coventry as well, I think they've got to be considered. But really, it's a wide open division at this point in time. Now, you've gone money line there on Leicester at plus 205. And I can tell you now, 59% of that money is on Leicester City. So they have been back. There's more tickets on West Brom, but the serious money is on Leicester City. You like to be aggressive, don't you, on money lines?
Yes.
When
you'll find out later why.
That's definitely a trait of you, Simon. Is that just a personal preference, you think, or do you just feel like there's more value to be had on money line rather than certain handicaps?
I would rather be right at a bigger price less often with a bigger bet. That's always been my way of playing. And it's interesting getting to know the different people in the team and seeing who... you see, it's a bit like cricket, the analogy of the guy who picks up runs and the easy ball, and he's probably in longer than me. But I'll come in and I'll swing. I'll get a few sixes, then I'm back, in the pavilion before the tea break. But while I'm out there, I will connect. And the game we were talking about, there's so much going on. I can't remember who they were playing, but they weren't expected to win, were they? And I said to you, Leicester have got some good players here, Steve. I think it was you and Will, wasn't it? Or we were talking about the game before.
Yeah, there was a match where I think, was that the Friday night game where they weren't expected to win?
And they were bet again. The other team were bet heavily, and I sort of stuck out for Leicester.
That was actually, I can't remember who that was, but they put in a surprisingly good performance that night. I remember that. The USA just had a chance to go 1-up, but Patrick Cantlay missed what looked like an 8 to 10 foot put. Really good chance.
Yeah. I'm watching the replay now.
There, the latest Ryder Cup odds. We're still hoping that these 4-balls are going to come out.
Yeah, come on, Ryder Cup.
We're live on air. But I just want now, we can go back to the golf now, Simon, because you're at minus 150, USA plus 163. I'm more looking now at sort of day one bets for the Ryder Cup. If I can actually find it, because there were some on the field.
Barack, you've called it there, mate. Birmingham it was.
Birmingham, that was it. Birmingham. Yeah, 100%. He's right about that. Yes, here we go. Day one, 4-balls winner. We don't know the 4-balls lineup yet, but Europe at plus 163. The ties at the 2-all ties at plus 275. USA at plus 138 to win the 4-balls. Now, this almost feels like it's a must-win session for them coming up. They've almost got to throw the whole kitchen sink at them. Without knowing these pairings, would you consider USA at plus 138? Because it is kind of regarded, this is their better aspect of play.
You talked about betting with feeling, and we all have a career of accumulated knowledge that we tap into without realizing it sometimes. And then later on you think, why did I do that? If it won or what it lost. And it's because you've tapped into the times you've played on that gut feeling. What is the mindset of Keegan Bradley and his chief assistants now? Well, we know, whatever you think of him, that the president of the United States is there at least arriving on site. And I don't think he's going to be enamored with what's gone on. So you've got an element of pressure there. There is a feeling in Europe now that let's just keep rolling. And it's whether that's stronger than the feeling of, I like to bet people who need to do something. And I think they've got to come out swinging. And the other thing, of course, is that the three people on the sidelines must play this afternoon. JJ Spawn, Cameron Young, and Ben Griffin. And it's where you put them. So you've got kind of the redemption chance for the big names. I think Bryson's probably the only American player who's covered himself in any glory this morning, possibly with the exception of Xander Schauffele, who's been very steady. So you've got 6 people who are finishing pretty much feeling, I think the word's ashamed of how badly they've played. Now, I don't know. I'm tempted to bet America because I think there's so much on the line. They've got to drag a performance out, Steve.
Well, I think will happen. I think he'll use all the players that were rested this morning, and there's going to be, if he goes Bryson, whoever Bryson's with, I hope he'll go with Cam Young with Bryson, maybe, although you said off there, maybe Scheffler. I think Griffin and JJ Spawn are really good players. I wouldn't be surprised to see Scotty Scheffler go out with Sam Burns, who's one of his best mates in golf.
Oh, and Sam Burns, yeah.
Sam Burns can putt as well. He's got good putting stats, and that's what Scotty needs. He needs to be someone who can put a ball in the hole more regularly.
Well, let's not forget, Steve, that until the freak rainstorm that took the players off for an hour, Sam Burns had the US Open in his pocket.
Yes,
playing some of the best golf we've seen all year. So again, why are these 4 on the sideline? It's too late to argue that it's done now, but you've got new blood coming in, and I mean, what do? You could pair Ben Griffin and JJ together. Forget this rookie thing. I've never heard such rubbish in my life. These people have been winning big events. JJ Spawn's won the US Open. Why is he going to be frightened of playing in a Ryder Cup? It's utter nonsense. I mean, we've seen Russell Henley produce a dreadful performance today, but I don't think that's to do with being a rookie. I think it's just to do with pressure, and he freezes often when in contention. So, Ben Griffin and JJ Spawn don't. I think you'll see a much punchier effort this afternoon. And I'm going to play USA to win the 4. this afternoon slate.
Yeah, I think that's a better plus 138. I don't know quite what Europe are going to do. I'm not even sure Europe are going to use all their players today. It would make sense to build up a lead. I could see Rasmus not even out until tomorrow afternoon. Actually, maybe even Sepp Stracker as well. I think Rose will come on into the lineup, and I think probably Shane Lowry will. Quite not sure who with. I would suspect this bottom pair might get broken up. It's tight. It's tight, but they generally haven't played. I mean, there's not been a lot of good golf played in that bottom match, to be fair, from either team.
It wouldn't surprise me if he opened with Lowry and Rose.
Yeah, two experienced players, and there's going to be fresh players coming off the bench. I say we are hoping that these four balls will come along. Well, like Benfica, SW was asking about. I'm kind of done with them after midweek. They cost a lot of people, Benfica, the very short price favourite, -2 favourite, and conceded a late goal for the second home game in a row. Mourinho got off to an annoying start. They're a big favourite at home against Gil Vicente today. Asian handicaps about -1.5. I'm not sure I fancy Benfica off the back of a short week or not.
I think the circus around him sometimes doesn't help. And I think the longer he's there and settles down, the longer he gets with the players, I'm more tempted to start thinking about getting with Benfica. But he became the story, didn't he, for the first few days?
There's a question for you. Actually, a couple of questions here, Simon. First one, Grazza. If you win well in the morning, you typically do well in the afternoon. I don't know if that is an historical trend or not. But, I'm kind of with you there. The need to respond would be a factor. And then a question for Byron here. Do you see any benefit for the US playing this cup at Bethpage, which is insanely difficult course? Well, normally.
It's not Bethpage, is it?
He thinks it's a poor choice in terms of how maybe the setup is as it is.
Well, I made the point yesterday, and I hold my hands up. I got that wrong. I really genuinely apologize to everybody. My point to Dan, who raised the issue about it being made easy and various reports. So I said, why would you have the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, the world's hardest golf course? And then we see it today. The rough isn't even the rough. I mean, sometimes they've been getting a better lie off the fairway than on it. So I'm not sure why the American team have turned it in. They had the option. You got to remember this. It's the captain's privilege and the tour's privilege to set the course up exactly how they want. And the Europeans have been brilliant at doing that in the last 3 or 4 Ryder Cups. I would argue that Bradley's possibly not been as clever. Or there isn't the evidence.
Yeah, I think they've almost tried to be a bit too cute to a degree in that respect. It doesn't suit. It almost suits the European players more. I mean, a couple of my takeaways from this morning is the greens definitely, Europe have put it better on them. The US need these greens to quicken up. Quite how quick they can get before Sunday, I don't know, Simon. I don't think they've got any sub-air systems here at Bethpage, have they, that I'm aware of, unlike some of the other courses over there in America. Apart from this final game here, if you get into a lead on this golf course, I think it's quite hard to come back because the nature of the holes mean that quite a lot. You can play conservative golf, certainly in foursomes, and just stay ahead quite comfortably. So I'm looking for that this afternoon. I think if you can get to a good start, say 2 up. I'm not seeing too many comebacks overall. Byron Murrell says it's set up more like a PGA than a US Open, but it's still brutal, but just a little bit too. Yeah, I think a little bit too cute. There's a big putt for the USA. It's heading into the hole. It's just gone short of the hole. So Europe will have, I think, about an 8-footer to tie hole number 17. The US are desperate to get this point to make it.
Yeah, but in match play, you can't leave put short, Steve. You just made the very valid point that the heavy rain, the greens are slow, but you work that out. We saw, sorry to keep attacking him, but Henley leaving putts that were to half the hole 6 feet short. Well, that's insanity at the slightly lower level that we play at, Steve. You get shouted at for leaving put short in match play, so it is level. I would argue slightly with Byron there. I tell you what, let's see this afternoon in the 4 balls how much collectively they are under par, and then we'll come back to whether Bethpage is a pale shadow of itself or really is brutal anymore.
You can still bet with lots of markets with Bet Rivers. And again, it's really hard. We don't know what the pairings are. And one thing we've got to do, of course, is to sign up to the Because We Win Instagram account, because you're going to be covering this throughout the whole tournament. Thoughts, picks, leans, and everything like that. I'll put the link on chat when I'm doing it. But tomorrow's betting, you can actually bet on the foursomes winner tomorrow morning. Now, again, it's a long way off. Things can change. But based on this performance from Europe are going to go one down here, by the way. McIntyre has missed the putt. But Europe are plus 163 to win the foursomes tomorrow morning. I mean, just based on what I've seen here, that's a big price. I can almost guarantee that the three who have won there this morning will be out tomorrow morning as well.
What if they play this afternoon and get beat?
No. Well, okay.
What I'm saying is there's so many imponderables to bet at short odds. I would argue that we'll have better plus 163s somewhere in our lives today than that. But I mean, it's fascinating stuff. And by the way, Byron, you may well be right, my friend, and I might be wrong on this. I've been wrong quite a bit this Ryder Cup so far. If we finish and go off air and we haven't had chance, give me 20 minutes, folks, and we'll get something up on Instagram for the place. So we will get something out there. I promise.
Yeah, and we've also must mention the Betting Weekly Insider. It is due in your inboxes today. I don't think it's been released yet. So anyone new joining in who's not signed up to this, we've got all the Premier League matches covered this weekend, plus some big exclusive plays in Europe from our handicappers. So do sign up. It's free for the Insider. You get 2 newsletters a week, but the main one is, of course, on Fridays. Really top. It's not been released yet, so it's still time to sign up for the Insider. And that Instagram account, I'm going to get the link because it's a bit of a devil, isn't it, to find the links for Instagram sometimes. But I've enjoyed the content on there, Simon, so far. You look like you were very, very busy doing a bit of filming on your local course and hitting some interesting shots.
Well, what we did it over one hole, and it was great. I mean, the bunker shot has I suppose, rightly got a lot of compliments, and a lot of slagging off. But my advice to you, if ever you do a golf video or anybody, is do it just as it's getting dark. Then nobody can see where the ball's gone. So you can turn around and go, that went about 280, and they go, no, it didn't. It went 40, and I say, prove it. So now, Steve, your swing's superb. I've already said you are far longer than Russell Henley, getting up to Bryson levels. I think we need a Because We Win challenge, don't we, at some stage? Get me and you out there.
A head-to-head on the match play.
Exactly.
Yeah, we do need one. Yeah, I actually did on the course. I played a course yesterday up in the northeast called Beamish Park. Lovely little course.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And that was the second take. The first take I did right. I did one on the putting green, and the whole idea was I would cheekily put in an easy putt just to finish the video with, and I missed like a 3-footer.
Yeah.
So it was all that hard work for nothing, but it was quite a bit funny. That will have to conclude. We still don't know the four-balls lineup, but you have promised some exclusive.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll get him out there.
We'll get the hitman Paul Hughes ready on that. Follow the socials. Have a great weekend, everyone, and do remember to watch us on Betting Weekly Saturday Live tomorrow. That is at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Me, Nigel, and Jack Wright are going to be doing that. We've got other shows today on at Because We Win, the Hardball show, and also Betting Weekly The Edge. I do believe will be on later as well. It should be at 5 p.m. You have to check that one because the scheduling did change for it on Wednesday. But Bray's absolutely right. The Insider is magic and it's free. Can't say more for that. Please do hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We are really getting closer to 12,000 subscribers. Those will be really appreciated. And also the likes. We're getting a lot more likes. So I've got to thank everyone.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up.
Yeah, we really enjoyed those likes. But have a great weekend, everyone. If I don't see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live, let's cash those winning tickets and keep your eye on the Ryder Cup as well. Thank you, Simon, for those plays. Oh, best bet in the soccer before we go. My best bet is definitely Strasbourg plus a half goal. What is your best bet on the soccer?
My brave, wonderful Leicester lads on the money line.
Leicester money line plus 205 for Simon Holden. Thank you very much.
And if they don't win, meat man, I'm going to buy you a drink on Monday night, my friend.
That would be very generous of you. Yeah, stay tuned to the Because We Win Instagram channel for content across the weekend and on Monday as well. You might be in for a special treat. So gamble responsibly, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time on Betting Weekly Live.